Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be doing a live training and I'm going to talk about the question I get all the time, which is, can you make money as a freight broker or freight agent part-time? Okay. So that's a question I get a lot. I get that quite often. So I'm going to do this training to address this. And in the future, everybody can just kind of refer to that training because I'm going to kind of give you all my thoughts and my notes on that topic. I've been asked this question, no joke, 100 times plus. Okay, at least 100 times I've been asked this same question. So from now on, when you ask this question, I'm just going to send you the link to this video and you'll be able to get all the answers without me having to type it all out. So thank you for joining me. Listen, hit me up in the comments with the city and state you're logging in from. I'll give you some shout outs. And here's what we're going to do. Here's the agenda. We're going to do some quick shout outs. Then we're going to go into the live training. And then we're going to do live Q&A at the end. So if you have questions about this training or another training that you saw, or freight broker startup or freight broker sales, or anything to do with starting or growing a successful freight brokerage or freight agency, stick around to the end. I will try to answer all your questions then. Okay. So that's where we're at. Let's do some quick shout outs and then we'll get this show on the road. Carl from Bethlehem, Georgia, welcome. Betty from Wilson, North Carolina, as always, thank you. Almini from Bowling Green, Kentucky. North Transfer from Minnesota, welcome. TMP Hustle, welcome from San Antonio. Corey from Billings, Montana. Brian from Independence, Oregon. Igor from Chicago. Lewis from Orlando, Florida, awesome. Yashbir from India, love it. Trya 12 from Chicago. What else we got? And we got people from all over the place. I love it. Perfect. Well, listen, as we're waiting for a few people to get live, if this is your first time seeing this, let's talk about this. Are you a freight broker bootcamp student already? See, what you guys probably may or may not know, I owned a freight brokerage for many, many years, did over $200 million in sales as a freight broker, sold that freight brokerage, but I also have a program called Freight Broker Bootcamp, which is a startup program for freight brokers and freight agents, but over 10,000 students through that program. And we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money back guarantee. What I'm asking you now, hit me up in the comments if you are already a Freight Broker Bootcamp student, or maybe you're considering being one. This training is designed to help you, particularly if you've been sitting on the fence and maybe you got a W-2 job, or you're just unsure if you have the time. Maybe you're a stay-at-home mom and you got a couple kids and you don't have 10 hours a day to work the business. Okay. So that's what this is really all about. So let's see. Oh, Cynthia from Maryland, welcome. Julio from Colorado. So let me know if you're already a Freight Broker Bootcamp training student, meaning my online course. You can check that out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com. And or if you're thinking about it, hit me up in the comments as we let some people get live and then we'll get the show on the road. I do have a bunch of notes to go over today. Okay. So that's where we're at. Let me grab a quick drink as we get a bunch of people live and we'll go from there. And listen, if you're excited about today's training, do me a favor, hit the like button. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, if you're on LinkedIn, wherever you're at, hit the like button and let me know that you appreciate these live trainings. Here's the thing. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I have debated, and I debate from time to time, whether I'm going to continue to do these Monday live trainings. Here's why. Because sometimes we have a lot of great engagement and a lot of great feedback and a lot of views, and it keeps me excited to want to do these free trainings. And sometimes we don't. And I know some of that probably has to do with me, but here's what I want you to know. And here's my challenge to you. If you want me to continue to do these free trainings every Monday at noon, you got to engage. Right? Minimal. The cost of admission to get into this training is you got to hit the like button. Okay. That sends a signal to all the different platforms that you like us, other people might like us, and that's how people discover us. Again, we're not out here spending, tens of thousands of dollars on paid ads, right? Most people hear about me from these live trainings or from word of mouth. So do me a favor, hit the like button no matter where you're at. And then we're going to get the show on the road quickly. All right. New student, Trya 12. Awesome. Thank you. Paul, hold your questions to the end. All of your questions need to be held to the end for Q&A. I'm going to do here's what we did. We do the shout outs, then I'm going to do the live training, and then we're going to do Q&A. So if you want me to answer that question, you're going to have to type it in again when I do this. And the reason being is because there's a lot of, I'm streaming this on 3 or 4 different platforms. So I get a feed that's much different than yours, and I probably will lose track of your question, okay? So that's where we're at. Let me grab a quick drink, review my notes, and we'll get this show on the road. It's a short training today. And then again, we'll jump into live Q&A at the end, okay? All right, so let me put these notes in front of me because I want to make sure I hit all the key topics. Okay, so a question I get all the time. Can you make money as a freight broker or a freight agent part-time? Can you start a freight brokerage business part-time? Can you become a freight broker or freight agent part-time and build a successful business? Well, the reality is, and the short answer is yes. But there are some caveats, and there are some things you need to understand, and there are some questions you need to answer before you go off on your journey. So if maybe you're a truck driver and you want to get off the road, but you can't just quit your job, or maybe you're the spouse of a truck driver and you're looking to maybe try to contribute to the income, but you're a stay-at-home mom or dad and you've got kids and you don't have 8 or 10 hours a day to build a business. Or maybe you work in logistics, right? But you work at night and you'd like to have a part-time business on the side, right? So those are some of the people that this is for. So if you're sitting on the fence and you've been waiting because you've got a W-2 job or you're looking to, you can't do this full time, you definitely want to lean in and listen to this carefully. So number one, a couple things you need to understand, okay? In the shipping, logistics, transportation, trucking industry, most transportation, most communications with shippers and carriers, and most deliveries and pickups happen between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. normal standard business days, Monday through Friday. Now, that doesn't mean that freight doesn't pick up at night. That doesn't mean that deliveries don't happen at night. That doesn't mean there aren't issues or challenges in the evenings or even late at night. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you want to build a successful freight brokerage, or you want to start as a part-time freight broker, you are going to need to be able to dedicate some time during 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., whatever your time zone is, okay? So if you're working a full-time job and you're working a 9 to 5, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to be a part-time freight broker or a part-time freight agent, because unless you've got a ton of flexibility to make calls and take calls and be on load boards and negotiating and dispatching and doing all the things you need to do to build a profitable freight broker, freight agency business, you're going to struggle if you don't have time during normal business hours. Okay. So that's number one. You need to understand that out of the gate. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't work towards that. There's things you can do, but ultimately, most shipping takes place between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m., not in your normal time zone. Okay. So those are the times that you're going to be able to most likely contact shippers as far as becoming potential clients and source and find drivers and communicate with trucking companies. Okay. So that's a big thing. Now, listen, I want you to listen carefully, because I am going to share with you at the end of this how much a part-time freight broker or freight agent can earn in a part-time business. Okay. I'm going to share that, but you got to stick around to the end here. Okay. So first, I want you to understand, the next thing I want you to understand is becoming a freight broker or a freight agent isn't a side hustle. Okay. It's not like starting a YouTube channel or maybe trying to do a little bit of affiliate marketing or, being an influencer. That's not what this is. Okay. It's very different. This is business to business service. You're offering a service to other businesses, which requires a different level of commitment. So I do not believe that this is a side hustle, but I do believe that you can do this in your part-time. Now, when I say that you can launch and grow a successful freight brokerage part-time, there's a big difference between part-time and spare time. Let me explain to you the difference. if you want to start a freight brokerage or freight agency part-time, you're going to need to be able to dedicate 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 hours a day. Let's call it 2 to 5 hours a day, somewhere in that range. Maybe every day, Monday through Friday would be ideal, or at least several times per week where you can have dedicated, scheduled time when you are going to build your business part-time. Now, here's how it won't work. If you decide, I'm going to do this in my spare time. So, once in a while, I'll spend an hour or two, or once in a while, every other day or every once a week, maybe I'll commit a little bit of time to trying to prospect shippers or learn the business. Spare time will not work. So do not waste your time trying to build this business spare time. But if you have the discipline and the time and the energy to commit to building a business part-time, at least a couple hours a day, okay, 2 to 5 hours a day, at least maybe 3 to 5 days a week, you can build a successful business. Now, as you become more successful, it's going to take more of your time. Of course, right? Just like anything else, right? If you get a big client and they want to move a lot more freight, then you're going to have to spend more time. You're going to have to hire someone, or you may have to potentially quit your job if you're in a job that's limiting your time. All right. So there are some caveats to that, but the key there that I want you to take away is you can build this part-time, but you can't build this in your spare time. There's a major, major difference. All right. I've had lots of students of Freight Broker Bootcamp, and Freight Broker Bootcamp is my online training program. It's the most cost-effective and comprehensive online freight broker and freight agent training program. We've had over 10,000 students go through that program, and we offer a 60-day unconditional money-back guarantee if you're not happy for any reason. So you could check that out at Freight Broker Bootcamp. But we've had lots of students go through this program that, for example, were truck drivers, and they couldn't afford to quit their job. So they continued on the road, they stayed on the road, and they started building their brokerage or agency part-time from their truck, maybe in assistance with a spouse who's maybe at home. And so, we've had plenty of students that have built their business part-time. I've had other students that worked evening hours, right? Maybe they worked in a warehouse, or maybe they worked in a restaurant, or maybe they worked in another business and they worked evenings or nights. And then they were able to dedicate 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 hours a day during the normal business hours to commit to their business, but they did it part-time, and they were disciplined and they were structured. It was not a spare time effort, right? It wasn't half-hearted. It wasn't half-assed. They were truly committed to it. Okay. So that's a couple things you need to consider. So who wants to hear how much a part-time freight broker or freight agent can earn? I'm sure all of you would love to know that, right? All right, cool. So listen, here's what you can do. This is just simple math. All right. Let's say, for example, you're a part-time freight broker and you're doing just 1 load per week. 1 load a week. Okay. You're moving 1 load a week and you're making $200 profit per load. Just very standard. You're not making 500, you're not making $50, you're making a couple $100 profit per load. At the end of the year, that would be an extra $10,000 in profit in your pocket as a part-time freight broker. Okay. So that's 1 load per week. All right. So if you double that and we're only doing 2 loads a week, well, then all of a sudden now you're making $20,000 a year. Now these are part-time efforts. So it's going to be part-time money, right? It's going to be very challenging for you to build a 6-figure income, but you can definitely supplement what you're doing, and you can definitely get a good start with cash flow to help you migrate away from whatever's preventing you from working full-time. Maybe that's a job, for example, right? Now let's look at if you're moving 3 loads a week. All right. So now all of a sudden it's up to $30,000 a year. And that's just 3 loads a week, right? You're not doing 3 loads a day. You're doing 3 loads a week. Okay. Which doesn't take an enormous amount of time once you learn the ropes, once you learn the fundamentals of how to successfully find shippers and move freight from A to Z. Okay. And then of course, if you're moving 1 load a day, at just 2 or 1 load a week, not 1 load a day. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. You're moving just 1 load a day. Okay. At $200 profit, that's over $50,000 a year in profit in the old Hip National Bank doing this part-time. Okay. So wait a minute. Where's that? Hold on. If we did 1 load a week, 2 loads a week, 3 loads a week, if we did, oh yeah. Let me say that again. So if you're doing 1 load a day, okay, just 1 load a day, that would be $52,000 a year. That's $1,000 a week if you're just working Monday through Friday. So there could be a significant income opportunity to supplement your income and or to give you the cushion that you need to transition from part-time to full-time, okay? Now, those are broker numbers. If you're an agent, then obviously you're going to be getting paid somewhere between 50 and 70% of the profit on each of those loads, as you'll be working under a broker in a partnership type relationship. So those are the numbers. Again, yes, the answer is yes. You can start a freight brokerage part-time. You can make money as a freight broker part-time, but you can't do it in your spare time. You need to be disciplined, right? And the income opportunity can be significant. Now, of course, if you want to build a 6-figure income, probability is you're going to have to go at this full time, but this is a transitional opportunity for some people that can navigate some of the challenges that I shared with you about dedicated effort and timing and during normal business hours and learning the ropes by getting some training. So again, that's what this was designed to do. I hope this helped you guys out. Listen, if you're curious about becoming a freight broker and you're looking for a roadmap from A to Z, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Again, we've been recognized as the most cost-effective and comprehensive online freight broker and freight agent training program. You can check that out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com. We offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. Okay, cool. So that should help answer some of the questions about, can you make money as a freight broker or freight agent part-time? The answer is yes, but there are some conditions. There are some things you need to understand. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, okay? So hold on your questions. Hold tight on your questions, okay? Because I've got a couple questions for you. And that is, was this training valuable? Are you on the fence waiting and maybe, this part-time thing might be the right thing for you? Give me some feedback in the comments if part-time is something that you're looking at, or if you're just looking at jumping into this full-time. Share with me in the comments some of the feedback. I'd love to hear from that. I'm going to grab a quick drink and then hold your questions until I say go, and then we'll jump into Q&A. I'm just reading some of the comments here. Okay, cool. All right, good feedback. All right, so who has questions? That could be about this training, about becoming a part-time freight broker, freight agent. That could be about freight broker startup in general. It could be about freight broker sales, or how to find shippers, or how to find carriers, or rating, or dispatching. Any topic that you have a question about that relates to starting or growing a successful freight brokerage or freight agency, hit me up in the comments no matter where you're at. I'm going to try to get to everybody's questions. I probably won't get to everybody's questions today, but I'll get to as many as I can in the time allotted. And if you enjoyed the training, do me a favor right now before we jump into the questions. Hit the like button. I can see right now that you guys are not hitting the like button, right? So I see who does it. I can tell who does it, right? And so listen, what I said to you before, if you want me to continue these free trainings every week and come here without putting a credit card gate in front of it to make you pay for these trainings, you got to hit the like button. So hit the like button. If you're on Facebook, share it. If you're on LinkedIn, repost it. Okay. Let other people know. That's the signal that I need in order to know that you're serious and that you want me to come back week after week and do these free trainings. Listen, if you go to my YouTube channel, I have hundreds and hundreds of free trainings. Okay. And so again, those are 100% free. The free training that I offer on my YouTube channel is 10 times better than most of the paid trainings out there that you're going to see. Okay. And I'm being honest, right? I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but ultimately my training comes from real life experience doing over $200 million as a freight broker, not, just because I went out and got one shipper, made a few bucks, and then I decided to start selling training. Okay. That's not what I do. Okay. So that's where we're at. Cool. Let's do questions here. Try 12 says, I want to start part-time and eventually full-time. You can, but you got to follow the roadmap that I shared with you. You got to have a dedicated schedule. Don't do this in your spare time. It will not work. Okay. Noah. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you, Noah. Appreciate it. Oops, wrong question. Expedite Drive and Explore says, I'm a Canadian trucker. Can I join the training? Yes, absolutely. We got tons of Canadian students. Brokering in Canada and brokering in the US are almost identical. Okay. They're almost identical. So the things that, my training was designed predominantly for US moving freight in the US, but moving freight in US and Canada are very, very similar. Okay. And there's a lot of cross-border freight as well with opportunities. Okay. TMPSL says, what's your thoughts on going to a company place of business to prospect? Is that a good idea or does it push prospects away? I'm torn if it's a good idea. I think if you are comfortable with dealing with people face-to-face and getting face-to-face rejection, okay, which will happen, and you have potential prospects, potential shippers that are local to your area and easy to access, I absolutely think that you should try to reach out to them face-to-face. Now, there's a couple ways you can do that, right? You can start with email and phone and try to get a dialogue and then set an appointment, right? Or you can just drop in and try to start a dialogue or leave some information and then follow up with phone and email on the back end. So both ways work, okay? And yes, I can tell you that face-to-face sales is way more compelling than over the phone or via email. There's advantages to both. There's advantages to face-to-face. There's advantages to phone, right? The advantage to phone is you can touch a large number of people in a short period of time. The advantage of face-to-face is you have the ability to build rapport, and it's typically a lot harder for a prospect to tell you no or be mean to you face-to-face. So yeah, I think you absolutely should. You absolutely should if that fits your style and what I shared with you earlier. Okay, so I hope that helps. Julio says, how can beginners find freight bonds? Okay, well, you don't need a freight bond. You need a freight broker bond, but I just want to make sure to clarify that. So if you want to become a licensed freight broker, okay, and you want to get your freight broker authority through the FMCSA, one of the check boxes you have to meet is you have to have a $75,000 freight broker bond. Now, that does not mean you need $75,000. A freight broker bond is kind of like, but slightly different than an insurance policy. So you pay an annual premium. That premium typically ranges between maybe $1,000 and $10,000 a year, depending upon primarily your personal credit, especially if you're a startup. Now, there are bonding companies that will bond new brokers if you have good to great credit. If you have average or below credit, you may get underwritten, but the price may be higher, or they may not underwrite you at all. There are a lot of bonding companies out there that do freight broker bonds. I would focus on searching for freight broker bonding companies that specialize in that. And then I would start a relationship. I would reach out to them and jump through whatever check boxes you have to jump through in order to qualify. But it's based on your credit. Okay. If you have very good credit, if you have good to great credit, you're probably not going to have a problem at all. If you have average to low credit, it's either going to be a higher premium or they're not going to underwrite you at all. But here's the good news. Let me give you the good news. Let's say, for example, you're not able to get a freight broker bond. You're not able to get approved because you got bad credit, or maybe the cost is too much. Here's the good news, guys. You don't have to start as a freight broker. You don't ever even have to become a freight broker. Start as a freight agent. A freight agent is an independent contractor that works under a licensed freight broker. Now, you're not a W-2 employee. You're not an employee at all. You're an independent contractor, and you will make between 50 and 70% of the profit on any loads that you originate. Okay, so any of your customers that you get where you're moving loads, you're going to get 50 to 70%. So those examples where you make a couple $100 on a load, right? You pay a shipper's going to pay you $1,000. You pay the carrier $800. There's $200 in profit. At that point, you're going to get 50 to 70% of it, which is $100 to $140 on that one load. And you don't have to have your freight broker bond. You don't have to have freight broker insurance. You don't have to worry about paying carriers or dealing with factoring companies. You don't have to worry about software. They do all that for you. They do the entire back office, which is the freight broker. And you just focus on working with your customers and supporting them. And you get paid to do that. I know agents, okay, that I personally know agents that make $100,000 a month as an agent under a broker, and that's profit in the HIP National Bank. That's after expenses. Now, that's before taxes, but it's after expenses, okay? Now, you're not all going to do that, and that's probably the top 1% or top 0.5%. But here's the thing. If that person can do it, you can do it. And there's plenty of opportunity to earn, a high 5-figure or 6-figure income as a freight broker agent if you get trained, if you partner with a broker, and then you learn how to get shippers and move freight from A to Z. There's a lot of opportunity there for the right people, okay? But I'm not trying to paint some, pie in the sky, get rich quick deal. It's not. There's a huge opportunity, but you have to have the skills. You have to have the knowledge. You have to have the systems. That's the reason why I put together the Freight Broker Bootcamp program back in 2009, okay? Over 10,000 students have went through that program. Again, you can check that out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com. And that's why in the last few years, I launched what I call my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. So my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator is a freight broker sales coaching and mentoring program. It's designed specifically to teach and coach you on how to get shippers as a freight broker or freight agent. So listen, if you want to get on the wait list for that, the program is sold out. Okay. I'll probably reopen it right after the first of the year. But if you want to get on the wait list, so you'll get notified when spots become available, you got to get on the wait list at freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. That's where it's an 8-week live coaching program where I take that piece of my brain and I teach you everything I know about my favorite freight broker sales strategies, tactics, tools, my entire freight broker sales system. Okay. In an 8-week live coaching and mentoring program. So get on the wait list at freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. Okay. I don't even know what the last question was because I went off on a tangent, but let me jump and find. Okay. I'm scrolling. Give me a minute. Oh, we talked about bonds. Brian asks, how do I go about finding a mentor when the ones I contacted aren't interested? Well, Brian, here's the thing, right? If people reach out to me all the time and say, will you be my mentor? Will you be my coach? Well, I'd love to mentor and coach everybody for free, but I just don't have the time. So if you become a freight agent, then chances are the broker that you work with is going to be your mentor, or someone on their team is going to be your mentor or your coach, right? Or your support. Now, if you're looking to become a freight broker, well, you got to think about it. What's the motivation for someone else to become your mentor? They all have busy lives. They all have other responsibilities. They all have other clients that they need to service. So, I get people contacting me all the time. Okay, will you be my mentor? Will you be my coach? Well, here's the thing. I've created the Freight Broker Bootcamp startup program, which is 100% online, self-paced, and you can learn everything you need to learn A to Z about how to make money as a freight broker in that program. That program is readily available. Okay. It's on demand. You can access it at any point. So that's like a 24/7, 365 coach mentor right there. If you need more help around sales and how to get shippers, which is where a lot of people struggle, right? That's why I put together the live coaching program. That's why I put together the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, right? I just shared with you the link where you can get access to the wait list, right? You get on the wait list. And then at that point, that is a live mentoring and coaching program with me. Now, it's not free. It's not cheap. Okay. But the return on investment could be absolutely enormous. I had a client not long ago that went through the program, and they wrote me an email saying that they had gotten over a 50x return on their investment. 50x. Okay. So imagine if you invested $1,000 into something and you got 50,000 back. Imagine if you invested 10,000 into something and you got 500,000 back. Would you consider that to be a good investment? I would. I don't know many people that get a 10x return on their investment. Okay. So, or, a 50x return on their investment, I should say. Okay. So yeah, that's what I have to say about mentors. Now, the places you could go to try to find mentors, social media is probably one of the best ways, right? If you're just looking to try to work with somebody and have them, if you can develop a relationship with them and get them to like you, they may be willing to mentor you a little bit for free. But again, if you're going to go to a coach or a mentor who's built a really successful, highly successful business in the industry, they're probably not going to do it for free. So you're going to have to be willing to invest. Hope that helps. Just so you know, me personally, Dennis Brown, since I started my career as an entrepreneur in 1994, I have personally invested over $100,000 in online courses, coaching, mentoring, and masterminds. Personally, over 100,000. I lost track of how much, but it's well over $100,000. Now, was it a worthwhile investment? I don't know. You tell me. I've done over $200 million as a freight broker alone, and I've built 4 different multi-million-dollar companies in 4 different industries. Now, I'm not saying that to placate my ego. I'm saying that because I want you to understand that there's a rule in coaching and mentor. People that pay attention. People that get things for free, they typically don't follow through. Okay, so that's part of the problem. So I hope that helps. Neri says, can you ever pull a broker who already graduated to take live sales calls? It's on my list of things to do. I probably will have a client that will come on and do some live sales calls, and we'll do them live, and then we'll share it. I just haven't done it, right? They're very busy building their own business, and they're very busy, around the holidays, and they're running a business. So trust me when I tell you, they don't have typically have an hour to spend with me doing sales calls. So, but it is on the list of things to do. It's a great idea, and I do want to do it. So we're gonna try to get that done in 2025, maybe Q1. Is it Creative Genius says, is it safe to purchase a broker course, then get started? Well, it's safe if you buy from a reputable source. So if you go on TikTok, or you go on Udemy, or you go and just search Google and you find some random person that says that they can teach you how to become a freight broker, and you don't vet them properly, well, then it might not be safe. It might not be a good investment. But if you vet them properly and you see that they have already done what you're looking to do, they've built a 7 or 8 or 9-figure freight brokerage, okay, and they now have a course or a mentoring program that teaches you how to do that and helps support you along the way. As long as you vet them properly, then you should be fine, right? That's what the difference between what I do and what a lot of charlatans on social media are doing, just trying to go out there and peddle their wares. I never sold a course. I never sold a training program. I never sold a coaching program until I was already doing, 1, 3, 6, 9, 1, 3, 6, 12, 18, 23. I was already doing over $20 million a year in annual recurring revenue as a broker, $20 million a year in revenue, okay, as a broker, before I put together Freight Broker Bootcamp in 2009, okay? So I had already built a highly successful freight brokerage. So you just got to make sure you vet the people. Expedite, Drive, and Explore. I can't send you the link. You just go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Freightbrokerbootcamp.com. That's where you sign up. Okay. You sign up. So you go to that page, you click enroll. You can choose, do you want a 1-year membership, a platinum membership? You pick your membership, you pay, and then you'll get an email instantly where you can log in and access all of the training. It's on demand, 24/7, 365, self-paced. You can go at whatever pace you want. If you want to consume it all in a week, great. If you want to take months to do it because you're busy doing other things, It's on-demand, self-paced. You don't have to wait for me to come in and do some sort of live training. It's all there. It's a business in a box. It's A to Z. Okay? Hope that helps. TMP Hustle, what are your thoughts on working with freight forwarders? Good idea or bad idea? If you're focused on the drayage niche, right? Import, export, and you're going to do drayage from the ports, in or out of the ports. I think working with freight forwarders can make sense. And the reason why you may have to focus a little bit more on freight forwarders there is because in most cases, large shippers, right? XYZ steel company that's exporting steel to another country, they are going to contact a freight forwarder and they're going to be looking for a door-to-door rate, meaning the freight forwarder is going to give them an all-inclusive rate from pick up at their origin, bring it to the port, load it on a ship, and then bring it to the, the delivery port, and then put it on a truck and run it to the final location because it's truck, ocean, truck, right? So most shippers are going to look for a door-to-door rate. So what happens is, if you were to try to reach out and contact that shipper and ask them for the drayage component, chances are they're not going to break that rate. They're not going to break that service. So what you'll do is you'll contact the freight forwarding company, and maybe you can handle the drayage on the import side where it's going to delivery, or on the export side where it's going to get loaded onto a ship, okay, onto an ocean liner. Okay, so I hope that helps. Elite Feet says, be prepared to starve for 6 months. Good luck to all. Yeah, here's the thing. Some people, I've had students of Freight Broker Bootcamp, their first week in the business with no experience, that have made $7,000 in profit week one. Not the norm. And chances are 99% of you won't do that. Okay. I'm just being honest. I've had others. I mean, my first month, I only moved 12 loads. As a broker back in 2004, I only moved 12 loads. We made a couple $1,000 in profit from that. Okay. Other people, it can take 2 or 3 or 4 months to start getting your feet under you. So the reality is this: if you're going to go at this full time, you're going to want to make sure that you have a little bit of financial backing behind you to try to make sure those bills continue to get paid. Right. And so you got to have a plan, right? You got to have a little bit of a plan. You're not going to quit your full-time job and then just randomly start and try to make money as a freight broker without having a plan. You're going to want to get trained up front. You're going to want to get everything set up before you quit your job. Again, if you do have to quit your job, maybe you're unemployed. Maybe you're the spouse of a truck driver and you want to start adding income to the household, right? Maybe you're the husband or wife of someone who works full-time, or they're in the trucking industry, right? And you want to start participating. Well, you're going to want to have a little bit of, make sure that those bills are covered, and it can take you a few months to really get your feet under you. So what Elite Feet is saying is it can be tight, but that's the same in any industry. I don't care if you start a pizza shop, or if you're in the insurance business, or you're in the real estate business, or if you start a SaaS product, a software, it doesn't matter. Your first 6 months sucks. It's hard. Okay. That's the reality. Here's the nice thing about becoming a freight broker or freight agent: very low startup cost. Okay. It has a tendency to be more recession proof than other industries because people still need to consume products and goods and food, right? A global economy, everything is becoming international, which has opened up a lot of opportunities. So there's a lot of good reasons to do it. Low startup cost. You can do it from home, right? It doesn't take a college degree. You don't have to pass an exam. There's no test. There's no certification, right? So yeah. Johnny Christian asks, how can I start as an Asian without a book of customers under me? You can start as an Asian, a Latino, a Russian, an Indian. Your race doesn't matter. Your race doesn't matter. Yes, you need to be able to speak some English, right? I have had students that English was their second language, and they've built multi-million-dollar brokerages and agencies with English being their second language. So the language, there could be a language barrier if you can't speak English, right? It's going to be very hard for you to build a business in the United States as a freight broker if you just speak Chinese, Mandarin, or if you just speak Spanish, right? Although Spanish would be easier because there are a lot of Spanish, growing population in the US. So yeah, I mean, if you don't have a book of business, welcome to the party. Nobody has a book of business when they first get started. Okay. So if you want to become a freight broker, nobody's going to have a book of business. If you want to be a freight agent, okay, not all companies require a book of business. If you go to the large companies, my old company, LDI, Logistic Dynamics, chances are you are going to have a book of a business and experience and prove it before they're going to bring you as an agent. But if you find a newer freight broker who's been around for a year or 2 or 3 years, who's looking to grow and scale their business, you should be able to sell yourself into a straight commission position as an independent agent without a book of business, because their cost is almost zero. Okay. Now they're probably going to ask you to pay for some load boards. They're probably going to ask you to pay for some software because that's a cost basis for them. But then at that point, you have the keys. The keys are in your hand. You got to put it in the ignition. You got to turn it on. You got to hit the gas and you got to take off and you got to go. You got to go out and get clients. You got to move freight, and you'll make between 50 and 70% of the profit on any given loads that you originate. Hope that helps. Okay. Pravaz asks, as a new freight broker, where could I find prospects in construction equipment moving for construction companies? Sorry, this question is out of context of today's discussion. That's okay. No problem. It doesn't matter if it's in context. As a new freight broker, where could I find prospects in construction equipment moving for construction companies? Sorry. Okay. So here's the thing. You need to identify what type of equipment is involved in the construction industry. And there's a lot, ranging from scaffolding to heavy equipment to buildings that they need to put on, temporary buildings they need to put on site for management and for, things of that nature, right? There's a lot of things that go into a construction project, right? And a lot of logistics involved and a lot of different types of products and things that you need. So you need to identify what those things are. And then there's 2 ways you can go about this, right? One, you can contact the manufacturers and distributors of those products, make a list of them. Let's say, for example, it's scaffolding. Okay. I'm just coming up with a random one, right? Let's say it's scaffolding. You're going to find companies that manufacture, distribute scaffolding. And you're going to make a list of those companies and you're going to reach out to them. Okay. That's one way. You're going to find the person who produces that product. Maybe it's bulldozers, right? So you're going to go and you're going to make a list of heavy equipment manufacturers. All right. The other way you can do it is you can contact the construction companies, and then you can position yourself as a resource helping their logistics on their job sites, moving things in and out of their job sites, right? That's going to be a great way for you to learn, right, from them what their needs are, what types of things they need to move, the frequency, the price, all of those things, right? So those are really the 2 primary things you could do. Now you can go to, let's see, I would go to, let me give you a link here real quick. Okay, if you go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/free leads, okay, that's going to bring you to a site that has millions and millions of businesses that you can search by industry, geography, job titles, almost anything. It's called Apollo. But if you go through this link, you can sign up for free with just an email. You do not need a credit card. There's tons of free data there. Now, if you want some of the enhanced data, like maybe you want their mobile phone number, you want some other data associated with that company, there are paid options where you can pay for that stuff incrementally, but there's an enormous amount of free data there. This is my favorite source for sourcing leads as a freight broker, freight agent, right? The data is very good. It's very accurate. They're adding to it all the time, and it's cost effective because a lot of that data is absolutely free. And even the stuff that you do have to pay for is fairly priced. Okay. Now there's lots of resources out there you can do. You can find different directories online and you can do all this stuff. But what I found is that if you want to go to one place and you really want to find companies based on product type or industry type or geography or job titles like logistics managers or warehouse managers or shipping managers, that's where I'd send you. Okay. FreightBrokerBootcamp.com/free leads. That's my partnership link. If you sign up through that link, you don't need a credit card. Okay. So I hope that helps. What time is it? Okay. We got a couple more minutes and then I'm going to wrap up. Julio, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you so much. I want to congratulate you on your honesty and transparency. This is the best course with support I've taken so far. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Okay, question from James Davis. He says, shippers are saying no because I lack assets. Do I have to actually own equipment or can I onboard shippers that meet requirements in order to say I'm asset-based? You do not need trucks. You do not need assets in order to build a successful freight brokerage. I did not have trucks. Very few of my students that have ever built a successful freight brokerage have trucks or have a truck with a carrier authority. Many of the top freight brokers out there don't own trucks. Okay. Right. So you do not have to have trucks. Now, here's the thing. Why are they telling you that you need assets? Well, they're telling you need assets because it's an easy way for you. It's an easy way for them to get you to quit calling them. Because if you're a broker, most brokers don't have assets. When they say they don't do business with companies that they only do business with asset-based companies, what they're doing is they're giving you an objection, right? And that objection is designed to deter you from contacting them in the future. But it's not that they don't do business with asset-based brokers. They just don't want to do business with you today. So the secret is to be different. The problem you have is that you have people that are calling up with these generic, old school, overplayed, outdated sales scripts like, oh, hey, I'm a freight broker. I wonder if we could save you some money on your freight. Or, hey, we've got trucks in your area regularly. We're a freight broker. We got trucks unloading in your area regularly. We wonder if we can help you. Or, hey, we're a freight broker and we got access to over 10,000 trucks in our network. Wonder if we can help you out. Those pitches suck. If you're using those pitches, please, please, please stop. You're doing way more damage than you are good. Okay? You need to learn how to create a compelling sales hook. You need to learn how to get your prospects' attention by being different in the first 5 or 10 seconds. You need to learn how to disarm those type of objections and overcome those type of objections. That's why I put together the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, taking that piece of my brain, transplanting it into your head and helping you get your first 5 or 10 or 20 customers and hit 7 figures in sales. Okay. I know I sound like a broken record, but the reality is if you're struggling with sales, if you're struggling with getting shippers, there's a high probability that you need a mentor, you need a coach. FreightBrokerBootcamp.com/waitlist. That is my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program. That is not for startups. If you're not a freight broker, freight agent yet, and you haven't went through the startup training, don't sign up for the wait list. It's not for you. But if you are at that step and you're struggling getting shippers, right, and you need some help, that's what that program is designed to do. So get on the wait list. We're going to be opening it up very soon. If you're not on the wait list, you won't get notified and you won't be able to enroll. Okay? Okay, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up. Let's see. Any last questions that make sense? TMP Hustle, thank you. Yes, hit the like button, guys. I'll come back every Monday, I promise you. I've been here for years, every Monday. But even I need a little motivation at times. hit the like button. I can tell you right now, not many people have actually hit the like button today. So I'm a little disappointed. If you're on Facebook, hit the like button. If you're on LinkedIn, hit the like button. If you found any value from this training, right, this free training, hit the like button, repost, share. Appreciate you guys being here. Have an awesome day. Have an awesome week. I'll be back next week with the next Freight Burger Bootcamp Live. Put it in your schedule every Monday at noon Eastern. I'll show up. You show up. We'll have some fun. You'll learn some stuff. We'll do some Q&A. Thank you. We had some great questions today. Thank you, everybody, for stuck around for the Q&A. Have an awesome day. We'll see you next Monday at noon on the next Freight Burger Bootcamp Live. Thanks, all.